please recording.
Sachin Deshmukh, he is giving this first talk here on ICC Tri-Valley Senior Group. He holds several degrees and diploma in holistic medicine, homeopathy, Ayurveda, and yoga therapy. He is not a licensed physician in USA, but he practiced medicine for 10 years in India, where he headed the Department of Natural Therapy and Yogic Science at a Journal and Cancer Hospital in Pune. Sachin was born into a family of yoga masters, trained under several monks, and been exposed to diverse Vedic traditions and philosophies. Sachin's approach to holistic medicine combines Ayurveda and homeopathy with the classical limbs of yoga, encompassing asana, pranayama, bandha, mudra, kriya, chanting, and nada yoga, along with transcendental meditation and other mental practices. His approach is tailored to the specific needs of his students and clients. Sachin is a founding father of Integrated Wellness Center of America, which was established in Houston. He has helped put on over 80 virtual workshops in these past few months with well-known physicians and health professionals. Sachin recently received recognition through Yoga Alliance for Special Experienced Teacher Pathway. Sachin received over 3,000 hours of training, 30 years of teaching experience, and has completed more than 40,000 hours of teaching experiences in multiple modalities. So here is Sachin Deshmukh, and today's topic is talk on joint pain and arthritis. And we are at the age, we all have pains and joints are aching. This is the best topic you could ever hear from Dr. Sachin Deshmukh. Let's welcome Dr. Sachin.
All right. Thank you, Veena-ji, and everyone. Nice to meet a lot of familiar faces. So make sure I have a screen permission to share the screen.
Sure. Okay.
I'll do that. Hello. Are you doing that, Yogendra ji?
Yes. I've done.
ठीक है.
Yes.
सचिन जी क्वेश्चन आंसर रहेगा एंड में.
Question answer देखते हैं if there is time, but if not, you can always send me the questions and I will be happy to answer.
Sachin ji, we can extend the time for question and answer. If you
no. The only thing, I have a meeting at 6 p.m.
Okay.
So,
all right.
But I will take anybody's questions if they have later also, anytime. So this is our topic. So I did the similar topic in our main center a couple of months ago. So everybody has some sort of joint problems, and rather than calling it arthritis and this, because arthritis is only one part of it, I mainly want to approach on the joints and the joint health in general. So as we know, significant number of people are affected by various forms of joints problems. And then as we age, the more we notice these problems. Now they also affect our quality of life because everything relates to the joint health, because the ability to move and everything is hampered by those. So what might be the common possible reasons for these problems? So obviously the most important is our heredity. It's our genes, genetic buildup. So it can run in generations. Second thing is being overweight, extra weight. Third one is the improper use of the joints. Fourth is the overexertion. Fifth is the stress. Sixth is the diet, and then the seventh is the lifestyle. So as we look at the problem, here is the solution also in the problem. So the how we are born, the hereditary, we don't have any control, but then we can still change the effect of those genetic predispositions from one part, that there is something called a science of epigenetics. So though we are prone to certain problem, doesn't mean it will bloom if we have a right, proper lifestyle. So most of the remaining from number 2 to 7, they are fully impacted by how we live, how we think, how we act. And now you'll be surprised to know that actually all the aches and pains are our own creation, right? So it starts with the kind of shoes we wear, how we sit, how we walk, how we do things during the day. So now, what is the Ayurvedic perspective? We simply classify into two categories. One is the poor nourished, or the joints which are weakened, and because of the low bone density, vata related problems. And then the second one is the ama related joint problems. Now, what is ama? So ama is something which relates to the end products of our metabolism. So that's the impurity which we all create. It's a residue of what we eat. And then if it remains into the system, accumulates over a period of the time, it creates some problems. Now, looking at the first part of this, poorly nourished or weakened joints, or how it relates to bone density. So the initial symptoms, as most notice, that starts with some discomfort. You start noticing a little bit, not so good. My shoulder is not that good. Then if you don't pay attention to that, you start noticing some crackling sounds here, there. Now, if you don't pay attention to that, it starts slowly immobilizing the joints. And now the bones, because it's not getting the nourishment it requires, it will start to degenerate. And then that relates to the full bloom vata related joint problem. Now, this is the physiology from the Ayurvedic perspective. So that when Vana Vata, which is the aspect of Vata, there are 5 Vatas. So Prana, Apana, Vana, Udana, Samana, these are the ones. Vana is the last one. So this governs circulation and nerve impulses. So when it's aggravated, then it will relate to the Vata related joint problem. Now, everybody's ability for their circulation, metabolism, to absorb food, they are weakened as a result. When the bone tissue does not receive enough nourishment, and then eventually it will start to degenerate. So that's the first type. Now, this imbalance into the Vana Vata and the weakened circulation, metabolism, and absorption, it creates a drying effect on the Shleshak Kapha, which is a dominant part of the Sabadosh of Kapha, which governs the lubrication of the joints. So now when this happens, the joints are not lubricated properly, and this creates the discomfort, cracking sound, and diminished flexibility. Now, foods and lifestyle, then the habits to pacify Vata, which will include all 6 tests. And then out of those, we favor the sweet, sour, and salty for the vata. So now this part might be a little bit complex for some, those who don't have background in Ayurveda, but it's simple. I will explain it that if there is more wind, the drying happens more quickly, right? If there is more wind, the drying happens more quickly. So if our vata is high, the joint for movement needs some grease, right? Some movement, something which will lubricate. So it will dry quickly. Just think that way. And because of that dryness, if it is dry, then when we move, it will cause the problem because the pain will happen because the joints are very, very dry, or they are too close together, or the distance between the joint is reduced. So there are many variations. So now, mainly what will help to balance this vata related problem is mainly eating freshly cooked veggies, and then the split moong dal soup, which most of our normal diets do contain, sweet organic juicy fruits, and also useful in diet which is rich in calcium, including high quality organic milk, vegetables, spinach, kale, asparagus, root vegetables cooked with calming spice mix. So what is spice mix for the vata, which we will consider in the later slides. And most important part is following a vata pacifying daily routine. So what that looks like is going to bed before 10 o'clock and rising before 6 a.m. in the morning. So following the cycle of the sun. Now, this pandemic actually came to our rescue that most of our seniors used to sleep till 9, 10, 11 noon. And now everybody's awake at 5:30. And as you know, that we can't keep up with our meetings. And there is always something going on. And everybody's healthy. Everybody got better and better with course of time. In last 1 year, 1.5 years, we had so many success stories came out of this. So that entitles 3 R's: the routine, and then the rhythm, and the regularity. So what is routine looks like? What to do when you wake up? What to do when you at noontime? What to do when you're in the evening? What to do when you are ready for bed? Now you might say, oh, what a big deal. We know what to do. But that's not necessarily true. Previously, old days, we wake up and we start rubbing the palms, looking at the palms and chanting Karagre Vasate Lakshmi, Karamadde Saraswati, Karamule tu Govindam, Prabhate Karadarshanam. Now we wake up, our best friend, which helps us during the day, our iPhone is next to us. And the first day is we open and we look at the WhatsApp saying, what's the message today? And by the time you clean one, there is another, and there is another, and it's never ending. Now, as I'm sitting, as we see that our head is around 5 pounds in weight, 6 pounds in weight, when I bend forward, in just few moments, it becomes 40 pounds. Just by bending forward, because it's not a natural posture, because I'm looking at my phone. So if I look at my phone like this, which nobody, even I have to remember to do that all the time, because we're doing it so often, so that all the tension is gone. Makes sense? So you can imagine if there is a bag which holds 5 pounds of weight, and we put 40 pounds of weight into that bag and carried, what will happen? Will the bag be happy?
No.
No, because we had 8 times more amount of tension on this. Now that's the physical part of it. What about the mind? The mind is also spinning with ideas. So the basic Vedic philosophy teaches us that human body is built for movement and the human mind is built for stillness. So now, because our bodies are still and our mind is spinning is 1,000 miles per hour, we end up in problems. Now, when we look at the physiology, the joint structure is pretty fascinating. There is one area which moves. There is one area which doesn't move. There is area which moves, area doesn't move. So let's look at our toes. So the toes move, but the middle of the foot doesn't move. Ankle moves, the long bone doesn't move. Knee moves, but the thigh doesn't move. Hip moves, but the lower back doesn't move. The pelvis is fixed. Again, the spine has movability, but of the different variability. Again, the shoulder area, the shoulder blades can move in certain way. The shoulder joint work in certain way. So if we understand the structure of our body and we control our body, we have the perfect control on our body, we can do amazing things that no matter. I just saw a video of a woman, 99-year-old yoga teacher from New York. And she had missed one day of yoga practice. And she is more elastic than I am. She was showing me how she does the headstand and how she stays there for 11 minutes and 20 minutes. And so we all can do that. Now, some might say, oh, I understand, but I haven't been doing yoga or I have missed it. I used to do it before. It's never too late. You can always start. You understand your body and step by step, you will make good progress to reach there. So now, as we see that we can also mobilize the body, the new theme is we follow the principle that you can start with simple theme as walking. You walk even for 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Our ideal goal, recommended guideline is around 150 minutes per week. So that's minimum 30 minutes per day walking. So now we understand that most of the causes of the joint pains or joint health disturbance are related to our lifestyle. It relates to our thinking, and we can avoid it because of just making small minor changes. And the most important part, we want to know that our main meal is our lunch. Now we eat light at dinner time, and that usually we eat early. So we have a lot of Jains in this group. So the Jain way of eating is perfect. The eating early at sunset. My grandfather never opened his mouth after sunset. So that's it. The kitchen closed, mouth closed. And we start at morning. And the morning is what we call it breakfast. So you separate the words break, fast. So you are fasting whole night and you are breaking that fast, right? So if somebody is sleeping, can we take them for marathon in 5 minutes? No, it takes them time to use restroom, brush their teeth, comb their hair, wear the proper attire, and then they are ready to go. So the same way, early morning, we can't eat a huge breakfast. Has to be moderate. So Ayurveda gives us a simple guideline. Eat like a middle class person, moderate breakfast. You can afford everything, but you can only in moderation. You can't afford too much of it. Not too much nut, not too much fruit. You can have everything, but small amounts. And lunch, you eat like king. You can afford everything. You can eat everything. Now the dinner, eat like beggars. Some days you don't get anything. And some days you got something, but you have to eat small amount of what we get. And that really can change. We'll revisit that in summary. Then the next part is the daily Ayurvedic oil massage. So in our groups, which we are doing, we do this, we meet 3 times a day, and we do all these things daily for almost a year and a half now, continuously going. And that helps to settle the Vata dosha. Now, herbs that heal, the herbal formula for this type of joint problems, that is called as in Ayurveda Santarpana, that means nurturing. So that's a summary, the basic name which we use. Now, based on this nurturing theory of Santarpana, Maharishi Ayurveda has developed a precise combination which helps these different themes. So combinations are very useful, which supports the bone tissue and the Shleshak Kapha. Now, many of us take calcium supplements, variety of supplements, but sometimes if you take any supplement too long, or just by taking supplement doesn't ensure we absorb what we eat. So as we age, the absorption also becomes very, very important. So then our body has that intelligence to be able to absorb the nourishment from the natural sources, that is our food. So if we eat right, we don't need medicine. So the Hippocrates says that may food be thy medicine and not be medicine thy food. So that means we should not be eating pill as food. We should eat food as medicine. So everything we eat has some benefit to it. It's some value to it. Now, there are ways on how to support even when you have to take supplements. Sometimes we have to for a variety of reasons. Then we can follow some protocols, understand what will help to absorb these supplements in better. And we also want to avoid caffeine. So caffeine includes our daily habits of tea, coffee, which has stimulant, but also has very high acidic pH. So the tea has tannic acid and the coffee has caffeine because that increases the excretion of calcium and magnesium in the urine, which can deplete the calcium reservoirs into the body, which is mostly into the long bones. So now this program is most effective in restoring balance to joints when there is small amount of malnutrition. So this helps early phases. If it advances more, then it starts becoming less and less effective. Now we'll quickly look at the other problem, the AMA-related joint problem. So it's associated with the toxic overload into the joints and the result of too many toxins into the body. So AMA, as we most know, it creates the stiffness and heaviness into the joints. Now, if it stays too long into the body, then the joint can become swollen and painful. And damp, cold weather can aggravate this type of joint problems. So you notice that some people, they are happy when the winter is there, they have no problem. Some people are not happy when the summer comes because their problem is into the summer, but they are happy into the damn cold weather. And there is specific reason. There are different issues which we can have, which relate to the environment. So that also helps us see that following seasonal changes can also help us to modify. So now if it's cold outside, I will wear a jacket. If it is hot outside, I will cooling off myself. So we use these ideas for our benefit to create the balance. Now, this is really a problem of AMA, digestive toxin in the joint, and it makes us feel a little heavy, stiff feeling, and then any changes into weather, like it was happening, like tomorrow it's going to be cold again, and that cooler might trigger problem for some, that you wake up and suddenly you say, oh, my knee is stiff, my shoulder is stiff, my neck is stiff, variety of things. And someday you wake up and you have no problem. So this is the first stage. Now, how to deal with AMA is very, very simple. And if you don't deal with the AMA over a period of the time, it converts into more deeper toxin called as Amavisha. And it's more irritating and reactive in nature. And this Amavisha causes the joint to become inflamed, swollen, and painful. So because something is there which should not be there in normal course. Now, how to dissolve AMA? Very simple. Drinking warm water, Triphala, and having balanced diet automatically will remove the AMA. Now, how to know we have AMA? Simple. Our tongue is our map of our health. We look at our tongue. In the morning, everybody has some coating. That's our AMA. But if that coating persists after noontime, then obviously we have accumulated AMA, which needs to be removed with some support. Now, AMA also then starts mixing. If it is there, localized, it will start mixing with other lubricating fluids in the joints, governed by the Shleshak-kapha, forming extremely sticky toxic substance. And that's what we call it Shleshma. Now that Shleshma restricts mobility and disturbs circulation into the joint. So as we know, the fluid in the joint is called as synovial fluid, and that starts getting replaced by Shleshma. And that's when we start noticing the aches and pains, and slowly then the structure of the joint will change because something is there which should not be there. And then once the joint changes its structure, then it becomes very difficult to correct it. And that's why we see lot more people have to do now replacement surgeries and things. Now, what should we do to, again, we come back to the food and lifestyle, because most things what we saw, they are related to that, to reduce AMA. And most AMA reducing diet is simple: warm, light, drier foods which are easy to digest. So the jawar roti, bajra roti, khichdi, these are the simple foods which we normally eat anyway in our diets. And then nourishing soups and warm, freshly cooked grains, veggies, prepared with stimulating spice mix and spices to stimulate digestion are the mainstays of AMA reducing diet. Now, even if we don't know any other spices, ginger, adrak is the simple spice, turmeric, the haldi, another simple spice, hing, asafoetida. So these are some very simple examples of balancing spices. And the cumin, coriander, fennel, that's a magic spice mix. So cumin is jeera, and the coriander is dhania, and the sauf is a fennel. So CCF. So even if you forgot everything in this lecture, if you start eating CCF every day in everything. So when you make veggies, you add CCF. When you drink water, add CCF. And in few days, you will notice a big difference. So when we started this group, first week I told everybody CCF, everybody wrote, and they were saying, why we have to do that? And I say, just do it, do that for maybe 2 weeks, and then you tell us why. And they said, wow, my digestion problem went away. My skin is looking a lot better. I feel better. and so on. My tongue is cleaner. I have a nice flavor in my mouth, and so on. And also the habit of daily massages. So the abhyangam, what we call in Ayurveda, is very helpful. And avoid day sleep, go to bed early, so we wake up early at 6 a.m. and restart our morning. Exercising half an hour per day, choosing type of exercise you enjoy. And the brisk walk is very ideal for most people, along with the yoga asana. Now, although if you have more kapha, you may need more vigorous exercise to stay in balance. So based on our body type, we change. Now, if we are vata person, then the activity is lighter. If we are a pitta person, activity is moderate. If we are kapha person, activity needs to be more. How that body looks like, vata bodies are thin, pitta bodies are medium, and kapha bodies are heavier. So by mobilization, you feel lighter and more energetic just by making these simple changes in our daily routine. Now, this is the formulation which maybe you want to make a note. It's a very old recipe, Ayurvedic formula. So it's a very effective way to purify the joint is to drink lots of ama pachana water. So water infused with ama reducing spices. How to make this is simple. You make the water, boil 2 parts of water and put it into a thermos, and then add 2 to 3 thin slices of fresh ginger, quarter teaspoon of cumin, quarter teaspoon of fennel, 2 black peppercorns, and 2 leaves of mint. And then let it brew a little bit. And then you keep drinking, and that will have a deep purifying effect. So this is an old traditional recipe. There are some other recipes which we use, but this is the simplest one, which most of these things are available in every household. So nothing new, but very effective. So you can surely explore. And it also helps to eat an apple cooked with prunes and figs each morning for breakfast. You can also cook your foods with an amapachana spice mixture, which we just saw. And then we mix 2 parts of turmeric. This is another mixture. So 2 parts of turmeric, 6 parts of cumin, 1 part of ajwain, 2 parts of fenugreek, 1 part of black pepper, and 6 parts of fennel. So now these are very, very old recipes. So we haven't made them. They are available into the old Ayurvedic scriptures. And so they are used traditionally, and probably many of you do it in some form. Maybe you might have little different variation to your recipe, but you are using those on daily basis. So can I move on to the next one? Everybody got the spice mixture. I'll go 1 slide back one more time. So this is the first one. Quarter teaspoon of cumin, quarter teaspoon of fennel, 2 black peppercorns, and 2 leaves of mint. And this is the second one. 2 parts of turmeric, 6 parts of cumin, 1 part of ajwain, 2 parts of fenugreek, 1 part of black pepper, and 6 parts of fennel. So what's the difference in these two? So this first one, we make drink water out of it. This one, we are going to cook with it. So when you make the veggie, so if we use garam masala whole year, what will happen? In the summer, if I wear a snow jacket, how happy I will be. So the same way, the spices create the warming or the cooling effect on not only the mind, also on our mind, our body, our emotions, and so on. Now, once we mobilize this ama liquefied, we can ignore those names of the medicines what are there. So what happens is that ama can be eliminated by penetrating, dissolving, so that these lubrication, which is natural for the joint, will come back to restore their natural balance. So coming back to the most important part, that the prevention is the key factor. It takes a great amount of effort to get rid of ama, which is circulated throughout the body, and once it settles into the joint. So once you start taking care of your joint problem by reducing ama, we should be very careful not to accumulate ama in future. So most of the time, if you do the panchakarma, which is a very deep purifying technique, which everybody should do every spring and every fall season. In our other Cupertino group, I did a 3-4 session series on spring detox this year, just to go very methodical, stepwise, how the steps are and how they can be used for our own benefit. So you can use something like those ideas, not very new. And as you learned that the message from the father of medicine, the Hippocrates, is saying that let the food be thy medicine and let medicine not be thy food. So we should not need any medicine if we eat right and in comfortable manner. So I already shared about the tongue. You examine your tongue in the morning and it should not be coated. If you're eating right, you should not carry any post-lunch fatigue. So when I eat, if I feel tired, my food is probably not right. And now it's a little different than the Vamakukshi. Vamakukshi is taking a little nap after lunch. And that's a normal thing. I heard in East Coast now, there are some sleeping pods. That means people who work in busy New York life, they go and pay $50 to go and sleep for 20 minutes in a nice pod in a room with controlled lights and music and all kind of stuff. And this is something which is available for no charge to us, which we can use. And Vama Kukshi, Vama means the left side. So we are lying on the left side for that amount of time, but we shouldn't sleep too long, like couple of hours. And if you feel any little stiffness or heaviness in your joints, then you should start following all of these recommendations immediately to prevent ama from accumulating. And this is truly case of an ounce of prevention being worth a pound of cure, which is nothing new. Another version of this is that 1 stitch in time saves 9. If you found a hole in your fabric, you stitch it with need 1 stitch, but it will stop further deterioration. If we ignore, then we will need a lot more thread and a lot more effort and skill, because then everybody will start seeing the hole into our fabric. So that's really the brief summary of this topic. So I will start sharing. I'm not big fond of slides because I love the face-to-face conversation. Slides are kind of a barrier between us as humans, but sometimes slides are helpful to see. So I will summarize what we discussed now in one more time. So what are the 6-7 factors what we see into as the problematic causative factor for joint health? They are related to our lifestyle. So that means they are fully preventable. That means arthritis other than genetic, even to the point genetic arthritis is preventable. So if we have to reach the point of knee replacement, we have something not right in our lifestyle. I won't say everybody has the problem, but majority of us do. So that really comes back by maintaining proper healthy daily routine, diet and lifestyle, and exercise routine. So active group. Now, there is some logic to it. Our body clock works in certain way. So the Vata time is from 2 to 6 a.m. p.m. Pitta time is 10 to 2 a.m. p.m. and kapha time is 6 to 10 a.m. p.m. So if I want to do activity, when will I do it? When I have energy. And that energy time is 6 to 10 in the morning with the sunrise. So if I wake up at 10, I already missed the bus, right? And that's why we wake up at sunrise. Now that exposure to the morning rising sun is more effective if I have oil on my skin. And that massaging the oil wakes up my body early morning. I feel great because I touched it and I noticed, oh, my left shoulder is tighter than the right one or whatever it is. And I can fix it with yoga, right? When I do yoga, I practice that. Then I go for a walk. So walking removes the ama naturally because of that warmth. And then I give the proper nourishment to my body. And then when I see the wonderful birds and the rising sun and the beautiful flowers, and now Corona time, we are a little bit secluded, but we see a lot of people walking and we say hi, and then that makes up our day, cheers us up. And then we come back and then we break our fast. So we don't eat 2 parathas and like tumbler of tea, but we eat 1 fruit and maybe handful of nuts. So the ideal size of our stomach is this size of the fist. Ideal size of the heart is this size of the fist. So our body is very organized. Now in one of the Vedic tradition, there are explanations saying, how can you claim that you have control over when you can't control the tongue, which is just 4 finger long, like this long. So if I put it right here, that's the size of my tongue. Now we always know the most important muscle which we keep moving since we wake up in the morning is tongue. So we do opposite. So we give rest to the tongue and we move other parts of the body. Every hour we keep doing something constant, and that energizes us in long run. Around 40% or more energy which we gain during the day is lost in talking. So that's why any Ayurvedic or yogic treatment, you go to the center, first thing they say, Maunam Sarvartha Sadhanam. That means the silence is the instrument for everything. You can achieve everything by being silent. Now that's most difficult thing to do for most. We're compelled to say, so Atma Samvadanam. So that Atma Samvadanam is you connect with individual, talk to us. So we always say that, oh, my knee is hurting, talk to him, because you haven't talked to them for a while, so they are complaining. Like your friends, you say, oh, I haven't heard from you for a long time, you've forgotten me, you didn't call me nowadays. So the same way, you didn't talk to me for a while or the shoulder for a while. So it starts talking back to you. You talk to them and then they get better automatically. Then according to our body type, we make small changes, and that really helps. There is an interesting story which is very old, saying all the organs, they were fighting with each other. And arm said, I am better because I lift things for you. And even if there is good food, if I don't move, how will it go in the mouth? The mouth says, I can accept or reject the food. Even if you bring it to me, doesn't mean I will take it. So I'm better. Tongue says, even if you put in the mouth, I'm the one who makes it exciting by the taste, and so on. And finally, the brain said, I am the head of everything. Heart said, if I am not beating, everything is stopped. And the belly was silent. And everybody made a decision that belly is the most useless organ. It needs nourishment. It's greedy. It wants food at least 3-4 times a day and saying, you are useless. Brain has something to do, heart has something to do, muscle has something to do. You are the one who always needs something, maintenance. So the belly said, what can I do? If that's your opinion about me, I will go on strike. So belly stopped processing everything. So after 2 days, 3 days, the person didn't go to the loo, no restroom, no call, started feeling miserable. Liver started feeling sluggish. The kidneys were not doing well. And the brain started becoming foggy. So finally they said, please do something, clean yourself. And the moment the bowel got clean, everything came back to normal. So even if we forget everything, the most important message to take, people ask all sorts of questions. Somebody was asking me a few days ago why I am constipated. So I said, I don't know. You should know because you know what you ate. So, right? So we want to get the answers from outside versus the answers are with us. If I feel not right, I see what I ate. If I eat samosa, do I feel good or not good? So somebody was mentioning in one of our panels, expert talks, saying 50% of fried food in the world is consumed by Indians. So frying is not something good thing to do. And we call it SOS diet, means no salt, no oil, no sugar. So the natural tastes of the fruits and veggies are enormously wonderful. And we can nurture that quality by little bit changes. Like I remember when we were young children, we had guava trees or mango, and we'll cut the mango, raw mango, and it's tart. So you add little spice, little chili flakes, or little bit salt, or cumin powder, and then we eat that, and it doesn't make our teeth really numb because it's so tart that it will make our teeth really thin. And all this knowledge and expertise which we have and in our background is getting revalidated with course of time. So when we understand these ideas, we notice that the maintaining joint health involves healthy mental states, uh, proper movement, and also proper nourishment to the body and the mind. And then things work out for us. Now, nothing new, what we discussed so far. Then we'll say, when are you going to do it? So Baljit says, I will start from tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. so I made up a story saying the Yama came to pick up a woman and he said, your days are over, I'm here to pick you up. And so the woman was very smart, like Rekha Nayak is. And she said, okay, I am all content, I'm ready to go anytime, but the theme is there is little, two things are left. And what are two things? One thing is I have longing in some food. I have the ingredient, but I had to make it. And the other one, I owe 10 rupees to my neighbor. I have the money, but I had to give it. Otherwise, we believe that there is no sadgati after, I'll be stuck, right, somewhere. So he said, well, okay, if you say so, you're a nice woman, you have a good track record, I will give you 24-hour bonus. I'll come back after 24 hours, but this is Kali Yuga, how nobody trusts anyone. So let's make a contract. So they made a contract and they signed the names, Yama and the woman. Now, it says tomorrow at 9 a.m. I will come and pick you up. Both signed. Now next morning the Yama comes and the woman is working and she ignores him fully. He's puzzled, he waits and waits. Finally he said, aren't you going with me? And she said, read the contract. It says you are supposed to come tomorrow at 9. So that's what happens. So we know what is right, but we start postponing what we want to do again and again. And when we really get it organized for us, everything works out well. So taking care of the aches and pains is the most easiest thing in the early part. So the first part is we want to prevent it. Second part is if it happens, we avoid the further damage to it by doing oil massage, walking, yoga, pranayam, everything helps. And even if it's damaged for a variety of reasons, somebody has a road accident, what can they do? They have everything perfect. So then early rehabilitation. So we had 3 people who had knee replacement and they're still doing yoga from hospitals. So their doctors are wondering, but then they recovered in a week and a half. They were back doing full activity with their replaced joints. So that shows that it is widely applicable, provided you do it in under proper guidance. Don't do adventures on your own. Take proper help to the proper channel. And the pain has 2 facets to it. One, pain is a protective mechanism. It teaches us if my shoulder is hurting, take it easy. Second thing is that any new activity I start, I will have some pain, but that pain usually, if it gets worse, then we are on the wrong track. But initial little pain and discomfort, but eventually it starts getting better, is a sign of healthy pain. And it improves with course of time. So those are the things to remember. So that's where I end my sharing. So we have 4 minutes left. So if anybody has any question, you can ask. And even if your question remain, feel free to share it on WhatsApp or anything, anytime, and I will be happy to give you a resource you need. Because in these type of talks, you can't cover every single thing, but it's to just give you the preview of what is possible, how we look at these things, and then slowly you can use this knowledge with curiosity to be applicable for your own benefit. So thank you, everyone. So now it's your turn. So we now
Dr.
want to say.
Deshmukh, there's one question. How
Yes.
meditation can help for joint pains?
So the mainly for the pain management, and then second thing is for the vata management.
Through meditation?
Yes. So vata is a part of nervous system. So vata covers everything which moves into the body. So our mind, our joints, our heart, our muscles, everything, their nervous system. So when we do even pranayam, the breathing, so that the pause into that breathing, pause into the thinking is very important. So if we look at the yoga asana practice we are discussing, is that yoga asana is divided into 4 stages. So that arambha sthiti and then the visarjan vishrama. So what that means is that you start, you build up arambha, then the sthiti you hold the optimal pose, then how you release the pose, that's the visarjan. And then before you go into the new pose, you rest. You take adequate time to change the position. So that's the most important part. But if we are in hurry, so I always had this session, we used to call it that the hurry for the, if we live in Silicon Valley, our hurry is, everybody is saying, hurry, hurry, hurry. Time is going fast, going fast. So we'll say that in this age, we are using new Hari, and that Hari is God.
God.
So
Yes.
pause and say, thank you, God, for giving this opportunity, this body and this mind, and do the smaranam, remembrance. And then we will not have the rush of any kind, and we recover quickly, because most of the time we don't stop and take time to think. Most of our answers are within us, and we can easily find them if we take time to tune. That's how meditation relates to anything, not just joint pains, but it has benefits on so many things. If you do Google search, few thousand things come up. Somebody was saying 22,000 things come up, which shows all these factors where you see the benefits to the meditation. So not just looking at the data, but the most important part is our self-validation. And the simple principle we use is the action and the rest. Action and the rest. If I lift the right leg forward, left one is resting. And when I put the left one forward, the right one is resting.
Yes.
So the body is moving, mind is resting, body is resting. the theme. So we use these different principles which are known to us, not a very difficult phenomena, but we understand the simple logic of the Pancha Mahabhutas, the 5 elements, the sun and the moon, its effect on body as nadis, and the feminine energy, masculine energy, all these goddesses and gods and whatever we worship, they are all part of our human physiology. Only thing is we have forgotten the knowledge behind it. We become more ritualistic, versus the scientists now are able to pinpoint that this is how actually our whole nervous system works. So one of our friend who you got to hear, Dr. Tony Nader, he had written a wonderful book of 550 pages or more, which explains that Ramayana is human physiology. It explains. So when we pull the arrow on the bow, we pull the string. So we take a step backward to create an aim at some point. And that's how that pause has a lot of that energy to hit the target. So Bhagavad Gita says that the mortals fail. Mortals fail because they react before they establish within themselves. So that means if we don't react impulsively, we become divine automatically. So we don't have to make any impact. But if we react to any situation very quickly, then that will create a negative impact on us as an individual. And then we become mortal by our own karmas, by our own actions. So that's how this yoga and Vedanta and Ayurveda, they're all intertwined together, and it becomes a way of life, way of thinking. And not only it will help you for joint pains or this thing, it improves us as well-being. And we notice that if my knee is hurting, I am not my knee, I am beyond my knee. Yes or no?
Yes.
Even if somebody has no knee, can they exist? Yes. So what's a big deal? So we don't cry over things. We just nurture them. We make friendship with our body. If my shoulder is hurting, it's telling me something. Talk to the shoulder and it will fix itself. It has that ability, provided you nurture it. And that nourishment is the key. And the summer is the most powerful time. In summer, we get a lot of inflammations and the pains are more intense in the summer for many. And the simplest solution for that is a mud bath. Apply the multani mitti wherever there is problem, pain, and most of those remove because the inflammation goes down. And the mud has a quality. Wherever we apply the mud on the skin, it removes the toxins out of our system. So if I apply on the belly, it will suck all the toxin. If I apply on the joint, which will suck all the time. If I do the whole mud bath, it will do the same. So now to buy the mud bath, we had to pay a lot of money. Old days, we used to go and we'll make a puddle with mud and jump in the mud all day until somebody elderly figures it out and say, what are you doing? Get out of there now, enough. Right? So you go to the well. And till I went to high school, I didn't even use hot water. My grandmother used to say, when you boil the water, you kill it. So the life is gone. So we used to take fresh water of the well and take shower early morning. And the first thing shiver. And then after it feels perfect. But then whole day you feel so refreshed. And then we got better and we got new technology and we got the geyser and then the theme. So as we get more urbanized, we also get more sicker with more problem as we get more. So then we use the changes are inevitable. So we use all this knowledge of ancient times to bring everything together. So we are already past our time. So I will stop sharing, but thanks for joining us. And anybody has any questions, feel free to share it with us anytime. I'm always happy to do anything. So now I'll give it back to Veena.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Sachin.
you.
It was a beautiful session, and I'm sure we gained a lot, and we still have a lot of questions. Maybe we will send to you then.
Yeah,
Yes.
maybe send me with their names and then I will address them individually.
Okay.
And
Sure,
let me
very
put
nice.
my WhatsApp number, those who don't have it. Feel free to also put it on the WhatsApp and then I will answer your questions.
Okay. That's
Normally, I would have loved to stay,
Hmm.
but today I have a webinar which starts again now. So I had to leave early. Otherwise, we'd
Thank you
have-
very much, Sachin.
Thank you so much.
Sachin ji, no, this is such a beautiful lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Zevan.
Sachin ji. It was beautiful. Really.
Thank you so much, Sachin ji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
All
Sachin
right.
ji. Thank you very,
Namaskar.
very much.